And now we've spoken about failures, but now if I could bring it back to a focus on the future, which we'll all be part of. And if I can ask you this, we've all spoken about the need for reform, but it's often relied upon people demanding change. I'm going to ask each of you, and Terry and Kathleen last, what is the one message you hope the audience takes away today? And shall I commence with you, Rachel?
I don't get time to think about it. Everybody thinks, everybody knows that wrongful convictions is a problem. I guess just the gravity of it, and that we can't be complacent, and that the change needs to happen at all levels in different institutions, police, the courts, universities, all that supporting kind of network. So I guess everybody has something to add to this discussion, as well as hopefully pushing this on a political agenda, hopefully pushing this in the media. That was said earlier as well, getting people riled up. I think that's, that'll be an important issue.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of the time change only comes about if there's an incentive, and a lot of the time we might not know someone personally who's been wrongfully convicted, so it's an abstract problem, whereas, to me it's very real because I was working with Kath. And I think the media can play a really big role if they're inclined to try and educate people about the problem more. And I think hopefully with your case, Kath, the work that we did to try and correct those myths about your case can serve as a broader awareness that wrongful convictions do happen. So I think it's really just a matter of, just keeping, I hate saying keeping the conversations going because action is what we really need, but I guess the more awareness of the problem, hopefully the more people will want to do something about it.
I take great comfort from the fact that Bob Moles all those years ago started on his additional right of appeal, and there was incredible opposition to that. And I think that's probably where we started on this debate today before we got to wrongful conviction. And there was success, and it's success that's been transferred into other states and has been accepted because people have pushed for it. Wrongful conviction through solving wrongful conviction through CCRC is equally a step that we need to prove, although it's going to be resisted, as was additional right of appeal by governments. But if we struggle hard enough, long enough, and beat our head against the brick wall for long enough, the brick wall will fall down. So I think we have to keep going. There are many, many other things that need to be addressed to really overcome the problem of wrongful conviction in Australia. But the main thing is to challenge governments who will be resistant to continue to do what we're all doing. And there are just brilliant ideas amongst Australia's wrongful conviction legal luminaries here to know that there is I have extraordinarily good confidence that this may happen. Not probably in my lifetime, but it will.
Kathleen?
I hope it's in my lifetime. For me, it's like, first of all, I'd have to say I've only been out like 2.5 years, really, from when I was released in June 23. So to be sitting here having these sorts of conversations, which I've done, a few of, that's progress. I said, because before that there was no discussions whatsoever going on. I said, so I'd also like to, hope that doing this sort of thing, and yes, as Rhanee said, it is going to need unfortunately more talking to get people to listen, and then the actions will come. So I'm fairly positive and sure that will happen. I think it's also a case of we do need to try to get the public to snap out of this naivety that the court system's perfect. And it does as it's told, and it's all good and rosy. And I was myself guilty of that. I would sit and watch TV and go, and someone's been put in prison, I go, oh, thank God that person's in prison, you know. And now after experiencing it myself, it doesn't matter. I can see someone on a TV that looks like they're going through a trial and I'm too busy questioning them whether it's actually supposed to be happening in the first place, you know, now. So I would like to think that, you know, these sorts of things and the CCRC and the whole forming of it and whichever form it seems to end up wanting to take, there are going to be some major stumble blocks, yes. We're going to have politicians trying to poke holes in it, destroy it, pull it apart, say no. It's all going to happen because it's a control. Someone's, you know, as far as I'm concerned, politicians like to control things. I said, so they'll want to see if they can control the CCRC as well. You know, I said, so to try and do it as an independent from political interference, that would be a great thing. But yes, yeah, this is positivity for me, to be sitting here doing this and talking about it. And I'm hoping that people can go away from this. My major message is it's not a case of, you know, it can't happen to anyone. It could happen to anybody else that's sitting in this room if they're just not careful, except for the fact that, you know, we're all sitting here not naive anymore and knowing what's going on. I said, but the general public don't. You know, the general public walk around thinking hunky-dory, everything's fine. I did in the beginning. I thought the police were trying to help me. I said, and that's the attitude a lot of people have. You know, I said, so, you know, and so once you realise that they're not helping you, it's quite a shock to the system. So for me, the CCRC, if I could, you know, if it happens in my lifetime, I'll be incredibly happy about that. Because for me personally, I don't want my legacy leaving this world to be, I was just that woman that was incarcerated for 20 years for killing her children and she was exonerated and got off. I said, that's like, you know, but if the CCRC can be up and running and we can help prevent or help fix or solve or help, you know, post-convictions, pre-conviction, whatever way you want to do it, so that this sort of thing doesn't keep happening, then that I'm happy to take that as my legacy. I'll take that to the grave. I said, so that'd be great.
Thanks, Kathleen. Terry.
Yeah, sorry, I just drifted away. Yeah, I believe that the CCRC will help provide a stable and strong platform that we can build upon. You know, there's so many different components, like the house. You know, you've got all the rooms, the different departments, responsibilities. And I think this is what a CCRC, at the moment, what we're involved in is the design of a CCRC. So we need to identify what it is that's required and who's available and what's needed to incorporate that into society. We're doing this as a public service. You know, like we all feel it in our hearts and we want to live in a good world. You know, we need to highlight what is good, you know, like for reform or for change, you know, like instead of the warranted criticism of a lot of the QPS and that, we could incentivise good policing and promote that. You know what I mean? And in and of itself, these ones who are getting rewarded for doing outstanding community involvement and participation and law, helping people who don't know how to read, write, those things and that assistance could shine a light that could enable a progress that would have an impact upon all of us and everyone to come. You know, we'd restore faith. You know, the thing that I've noticed most since I've been out, and that's only, well, 30 years, 97, is that the thing I felt most inside was there was that much apathy. Because people were worn down. They did not believe that there was any way things were going to change. This is the way it's always been. This is how it is. I struggled with that. I saw the positiveness in them. I saw the humankind in them. I tried to point things out to them. You know, don't be apathetic. You are capable. You stand up, you care, you believe, you love. Those things are powerful. Use those things. But then when I see it outside in society, where people just go along with the flow and that doesn't affect me, so I'll ignore that, or that takes a bit of extra time than what I can commit. they become reserved in some way. Any reservation's apathy. What you were saying before, you can't walk past it. You've got to be able to be outspoken, and I think the best way to do that is by encouragement. And we can't go around giving everyone a hand clap. However, we could make, where most of the problems start with wrongful convictions, is at the police force, QPS. And I think if we can restructure that, where the good cops are rewarded more than the bad cops, we might have a swing in favour of creating a positive thing out of the CCRC.
Thanks, Terry. Thank you all, and if we could all thank the panel again.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Holland, and I'm appearing today in my capacity as the Secretary of the International Commission of Jurists Queensland chapter. I am standing in for Carla Cleese-Casey. Unfortunately, she was unable to attend at the last minute. It is my great privilege just to give a short vote of thanks to everybody who's been involved in bringing together today's very engaging, important and incredibly valuable seminar. I know we have gone over time, so I'm going to keep my remarks very brief. And it is impossible really to do justice to the incredible generosity demonstrated by each of our speakers in coming to here today and sharing not only their expertise, but their personal experiences and their passion for the subjects in which they're engaged, and obviously with the particular cases that they have each worked on. It was particularly valuable to get an international perspective with our earlier speakers, and I was particularly moved by the devastating story of Kevin Henry and the comments made by Mr. Hodgson that it's imperative that we face the truth of the past in order to inform us in the creation and development of any future bodies aimed at addressing the very real issues that have been canvassed by each of our very experienced and talented speakers today. As you would have noticed from the final session, some common themes have obviously emerged, and I don't need to tell each of you what they are. The flaws with institutional communication, the need for transparency, remedies such as compensation and the need to ensure that those remedies are accessible, and a mechanism to ensure that if there are problems in the system, that those problems are faced and if they are revealed by a particular case, that the system, that acknowledgement is made of the fact that perhaps parts of the system may need changing rather than confining it to the particular case. And overall, how do we engage and ensure that any potential CCRC is engaged in truth-finding and not necessarily in protecting some of the inherent flaws in our legal system? Particular thanks to Kathleen Folbigg and Terry Irving for generously giving of their time and bringing their personal experience to bear today. I know at the outset, finally, I'd like to extend our thanks to the many individuals who were involved in bringing this to fruition today. These sorts of events don't happen without an awful lot of hard work behind the scenes, and many individuals who were involved in that deserve our particular thanks. As Robin said at the outset, the aim of today was to inform the design of a criminal cases review commission, not just to contend for one, but to advocate for the powers that be and the community, and educate the powers that be and the community about just what a CCRC would mean. The Innocence Project and the Griffith Law School should be commended for having brought together a riveting and engaging and deeply educational experience today. And I would ask you to take just a final moment to join with me in thanking everybody who's been involved today in bringing together this wonderful seminar.